Hey folks, I wanted to share with you a template that I've devised working with a client to track volleyball. So this is a volleyball tracker. This is a weekly summary of the warm-up drills, pre-practice drills, how many minutes for each of these pairings, core exercises, categories, and so forth. You can see that we're charting out this information. Let's take a look at how we set this up. We basically, in a certain way, started with this lists tab. And what we did is defined all of the different types of drills and categories and pairings, all the things we wanted to track. We set up as lists and then used all these lists for calculating with drop-down menus from a range. So we were able to set that up. So first of all, we set up the lists. And then we built everything on a template. And frankly, we started with this day one template. And here's a few things that we did. We basically set up all these drop-down lists. So this is a pre-practice drill. This is a pre-practice drill. This is a team warm-up, again, from the team warm-up drop-down. This is a serving challenge. And you can see how we've applied these throughout. Here's the core transition core exercises and so forth. So we have all of those different drop-downs that we're using. Here's our different categories. Here's our pairings, and here's our resources. And these are all drop-downs that the user can just fill out, starting with a blank, of course, when you're just getting started. Then here we put in this date, August 19th. And the way we've set this up is we wanted to be able to track a week's worth of information. So we set this up with a grouping. Here's day one. We can close day one. We can jump to day two. Day two automatically calculates the next day with a formula. It takes B1 and adds a day. And you'd fill out your information for day two. You'd fill out your information for day three, noticing again, this is a formula calculating the day. So we only really worry about the day back here on day one, August 19, day three is August 21, and so forth. And you can open and close these tabs as you need. So we've set that up, and then we needed to do a summary. So this summary is basically a list of, it's actually a formula in this line, calculating, basically it's an array of what's in column A of lists. So as column A in the lists changed, if you added a different warm-up drill, it would automatically show up here. Same with your pre-practice, your pairings, and so forth. So then we've got, we're in the counts, we're doing a formula where we're counting the number of times that, it's a count if, we're counting how many times six-man rotate appears in column E across day 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we're coming up with a sum of all of those, and we're doing the same thing here. We're summing the minutes. So we look in column E, we look in that minutes column, and we calculate, we sum up the minutes where it is equal to six-man rotate or where it's equal to blocking tips and so forth. So if we come back and look at our template here on day one, this is column E, and we can see in column E if it equals anything in column E equals this, and this is where we count or sum. And of course, different columns for these different drills, categories, pairings, and so forth. So that's basically how we're coming up with a summary, and then we're simply using the values in this summary to build our charts. And the reason we build this weekly summary in basically in a single cell here, single column, is if you try to hide in a grouping these charts, you can't do that. But if you have the data hidden, you will notice something will pop up when you create a chart that says, do you want to display the data from hidden data? And you say yes to that. And then we basically have this summary sheet on our template. So let's look at another piece we put in here. We have a drop-down menu for motivational quotes. And again, we're doing that just as a time saver. So we have another value list here of the quote and an author. If one wanted to use those, you could concatenate those two things. So we have our lists. And the motivational quotes actually honestly could be on the same list to reduce the number of tabs that you have across the bottom. We have our template that we use to build the system. And then we have a dashboard, and what this is doing is summing from all of the sheets. These are our weekly sheets, August 29th, August 26th, September 2nd, September 9th, so forth and so on. We're summing all of those with these fancy formulas. We're coming up with a sum of, under our six-man rotate, we're summing how many times we use that and so forth. And then this is sort of our end of the season summary of how many times, how many minutes we could build this out to reflect more data than we currently are showing here based off of this dashboard information where we're summing the whole thing. One other feature that we put in here is basically we built this template. And let's see how we then go ahead and make all of the subsequent sheets. So I wanted to talk about how we went about constructing all these week sheets. We spent a lot of time, first of all, building the template, getting it just right. First of all, getting day one right, and then copying and pasting all the information from day one into day two and so forth, and setting up all these groupings. Once we had the template set up, then we wanted to build a set of tabs. Now you could simply take the template, duplicate, rename, and so forth. But instead, what I did was wrote a script. And I wrote a script to create the sheets from a template. Let's take a quick look at what that looks like. So we jumped into AppScript, in the AppScript editor, and we have a couple of scripts in here. In the development of this, I learned that I needed to, as I was testing it, I wanted to be able to delete sheets. I wanted to build these sheets and delete them. So I did build a function called delete unwanted sheets, and I named the sheets that I didn't want deleted, and then it just deletes all the rest of them. Then we also had the on open function, of course, to bring in the menu item to delete sheets. Basically, what we're doing here on creating sheets is we are creating the sheets from a template. And what we're doing is we're getting the spreadsheet, we're getting the lists sheet, and we're getting the template sheet. So let's take a look at that. Here's my list sheet. Here's my template sheet. And let me just so we're sourcing this that sheet, and we're getting the list sheet. And the reason we're using the list sheet is we're getting the range in the list sheet, J2 to J plus the last row, and that's getting me J, and that's the week. So I simply typed in the week names, August 19, 26, 2, 9, and so forth. And then we get that list, and then we, for each name in that list, and I happen to have named them those days, it's going to make a copy of the template, rename the new sheet to the name. The name is from the name array, and then place the name into cell B1 of each new sheet. And the reason we're doing that, let's go back here. If I take a look at August 19th and take a look at our date, notice that's August 19th. But when I look at August 26th, notice that's August 26th. And we already had learned that automatically calculates those days. So as every sheet gets created, it's automatically dated properly with these dates that we need for the weeks that we're collecting the data from. So that's it, pretty simple script. And then when we run that script, we have, we have the script set up here. And again, if I deleted unwanted sheets, which I do not want to do, it would delete all of these sheets off of here. When that happens, of course, it does make a change to my dashboard, because then all of a sudden all of these formulas are looking for sheets that don't exist, and you have to sort of deal with that function when you run that script. But again, simple way to create the sheets using AppScript, a much quicker way, because it populates the date automatically on each one of my sheets, and I can see, okay, I can jump to September 2nd. If I go here and open up October 14th, there we go, we start right there. So a lot quicker than doing it manually, and it's a pretty simple script. So that's just a summary then of how we build individual week sheets to track the data by week and have this nice summary. And then we've discussed a little bit about how we aggregate the data on the dashboard and then use a charts page to display the summary data that you'd have at the end of the year.